What's up, guys? Here with you with FC Wonderkid, episode 102. Here with my guy, Bretson. How are you?
102. I'm about as good as Lamine Yamal. I'm going to say I'm about as good as Lamine Yamal. That's really good. You know why?
Yes.
Because at 15 years old, the gem of La Masia, why do I always say that wrong? Anyway, Yamal, one of the biggest gems of Barcelona's youth academy, right? Got to witness that Atletico Madrid win from the bench as a 15-year-old. You know, if he had gotten in, he would have been the youngest ever to play.
But he's the
Barcelona.
youngest ever to been called up. That's the youngest ever to been called up. Xavi's already doing bits with La Masia, with Boldest, that is already a world-class left back and performing right now. He's not maybe ability, but performing right now, he's in form. And people, I got a stat too. I got to say this. All the top, the number one positions in the top European leagues, all of them are out of the European competitions. Bayern Munich, Arsenal, Benfica, Feyenoord, Napoli. Every single team is out of the Champions League, Europa League, and not to forget too, Barcelona. Barcelona's out too of the European competitions. So this must be the 2022-2023 season curse. If you're number one in the league, you do not win European competitions.
And you were probably eliminated by an Italian team of some sort too. No, but I do have to correct you there, right? Because you said Bayern Munich's at the top of the Bundesliga table. That ain't true, sir. That ain't true, sir.
Yes, it's true. It's true. That's true.
Dortmund took their match. They took that gift handed to them by Bayern, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Took it by the scruff of their neck, thanks to Karim Adeyemi and Daniel Malen finally coming to life. Get me some more Malen and Adeyemi. I want to see it. But that's not what we're here to start with, right? We are here to start 102. First, I didn't ask you. I got to ask you. How are you, Alex? Did you survive this past week?
I've survived pretty well because Arsenal, wow, oh my days, the title race is back. The Bundesliga race is back. But the La Liga race, it's secured now with that win to at Atletico.
Absolutely.
But let's start with the Prem. And people, put down below in the comment section, what topics do you want to see in episode 103, 104? Do you want to see in the podcast in the future? But Arsenal, momentum isn't looking good for Arteta's boys. And 3-3, that draw with Southampton felt like a loss. Momentum isn't good. Saka must extend. And Arsenal in their next 4 league games, they're going to face Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle, and Brighton. And if they're going to win the Premier League, they at least need to get 9 points from these 4 matches. At least. And it will be very, very tough with this young mentality team. So, I look, Arsenal, I want to know. What are your thoughts?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, well, that was a comeback, I guess, that was launched by Saka and Martinelli when all is said and done. Yeah. But they shot themselves in the foot. I mean, Aaron Ramsdale starting the game, trying to put a ball. It's as if he thought he was playing 6th tier, English football FA Cup game. I don't know, Forest Green Rovers or something. Sorry to pick on Forest Green Rovers, but I don't understand why he decided to play that ball and going to Alcaraz in the first minute. That set the tone. That set the tone, and then there were just multiple issues most of that match. And fine, I guess credit to them that they came back, they scraped out a draw, and they probably felt they could have got more. But you could see it on Arteta's face; he was about to break. He was about to break character. He was about to break. And the way that they laid down, the way that they kind of almost conceded at the end of that game, with how much that comeback took out of them. They almost knew as if the Premier League was, if their pinky was on the trophy previously, it is now off the trophy because the Wednesday, the 26th, is going to give us all of the answers we need to know. And I think the Emirates, if you guys are going to win this thing, it's going to come down to that 12th man. It's going to come down to the Emirates being as loud, as raucous.
I think it's in the
Oh,
Etihad.
jeez.
Yeah.
Seriously,
it's in
it
the Etihad.
is at the Etihad.
Yeah.
You're right.
So
My brain. I'm sorry.
So let's see.
Vacation brain. Vacation brain.
So what I gotta say on Arsenal, though, I know I see a lot of hates, and because they don't win a cup, they can get a second place. And to be fair, in my opinion, this is a successful season for Arsenal if they finish second. They must extend with Saka. No one expected them to be second too. And Martinelli, last season in the Prem, had 6 goals and 6 assists. Injury-free season. Right now, he's got 15 goals and 5 assists. The development is insane. And Odegaard is an established leader now. World-class leader at Arsenal. So in my opinion, Arsenal have improved. So I think to convince Saka, hopefully Arsenal only need the Champions League. Okay? Because I think Arteta has proven himself as a manager and the team around him is successful. In my opinion. It was well built. So yeah, it's Saliba. Saliba, though, I have to agree with you because you pointed out a couple of podcasts ago, Saliba needs to get more consistency. And ever since that break of the national team, he's not been the same. It's true. The Saliba at the beginning of the Premier League season was immense under 23 center back, and he's struggling right now. So they have to go to the market. Arsenal needs to sign Declan Rice's, Moises Caicedo type players, and maybe more center backs, okay? And please don't let go of Tierney to Newcastle. I see some news about that. Please don't let go of Tierney. He's a great player.
Well, if Newcastle can figure out how to keep him healthy, that's I could see Tierney at Newcastle. I mean, listen, Arsenal, it hasn't quite gotten going for him, and I mean, has he been as good as we all thought he could be when he was at his best for Celtic? Tierney.
He hasn't. No, and considering too how Ben White, like, all of a sudden is a proven player at the position, like, yeah, no, I understand that. I understand.
I'm just worried here.
Zinchenko,
I'm looking.
Zinchenko.
Sorry. And Zinchenko also hasn't looked his best as of late. Let's be honest there too. So I'm looking at it. They've conceded 7 goals in the last 3 games. All 3 games have been draws. You're absolutely right. They're heading into the Etihad. And obviously history isn't necessarily on their side in the sense of, I think in the last 20, I don't want to get this wrong, but I think in the last 20, Manchester City has won or drawn 17 of the 20. Yeah. Okay. So I think it's 15 wins in the last 20. So really what it's coming down to here is I'm not going to call it a miracle necessarily, but they're going to need a hot start the way that Southampton got. They're going to need to force a mistake on Manchester City because the way Manchester City is playing right now, they know. They absolutely know. That they're in this, and I think we have to kind of say it out loud. Manchester City is looking at the treble right now. Treble. If they can get this done.
Treble contention right now. That's Guardiola's main aim, especially Man City in the FA Cup haven't conceded 1 goal. Yeah. 1 goal. This happens because of Ruben Dias, Hakanji, Hake, Stones, so many defensive options that prove to pay the bills for Man City because I'll give guarantees to the team. And Mahrez too. Mahrez scored a hat-trick in the FA Cup, something that hadn't happened in the semi-final since 1958 in the competition, and that is an African legend in the Premier League, Riyad Mahrez. So you love to see it, and I love how Guardiola sneaked and said he always wants to play. When he's on the bench, he's always giving me funny jokes, but they're not really jokes, because he's a world-class player and he wants to be on the pitch. And I want to say too, Man City are 26 games unbeaten. 26 games unbeaten. That's why Arsenal ain't gonna stop them, in my opinion. Erling Haaland, Ruben Dias, Grealish looks so good after international break. Rodri, like Kevin De Bruyne top in assists. I can't see Arsenal stopping this team. But what a season it's been for Arsenal. I wanted to say that. Really looking good. Really looking good, in my opinion. Just April has been a huge blimp. Huge blimp.
Yeah. I mean, it is good. It is good. But there's no guarantee that next season Arsenal is tippy top. There's no guarantee. I mean, you are a couple signings away if you look at kind of how it's all unraveled over the last few months. And the funny thing is it's not as if they're like losing a whole lot. It's just you have to be very good to beat a Manchester City side that has been there and done that over the last few years, over the last 5 years. Very clearly, they've been insanely dominant, and we all know when Liverpool won it, they had to be basically next to perfect because Manchester City was running right alongside them. So it's tough to say it. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think Arsenal is going to be in a Premier League title race next season unless they make the right signings. Signings.
I think they will. I mean, I think he's proven himself in the past Arteta management that he can do right signings. I think they will be. I won't say that they're guaranteed to get the top two, considering like you have a Newcastle getting much better. United, okay, they will be much better next season in my opinion too. But
they better be.
Chelsea, I don't know. Tottenham, I don't know. So I could see Arsenal being ahead of these teams still and being in the Champions League top positions. But to win the Prem, this was a great opportunity, and now people will be judging that. But the main difference from Man City and Arsenal have a fantastic potential team with Saka world-class potential, Martinelli world-class potential, Odegaard a leader. But Man City has world-class guarantees. De Bruyne, Haaland, Ruben Dias, Rodri, all are leading players in their position, world-class. So that's the main difference. And Arsenal need to keep developed to get to that stage that Guardiola managed to get with this Man City team. So I'm gonna say this: Man City is my choice to win the Prem. I think it's pretty obvious that I'm deciding that. And we will be talking more about the Champions League forwards. But put in the comments section if you believe that Man City will win the treble, like we hinted at the start of this topic too. And I want to say, Erling Haaland, man, if he wins this treble for Man City, and he's like top goal scorer in the Champions League that he is right now, huge records broken in the Premier League too. Like everybody will be saying Haaland Ballon d'Or. So I would love that to happen, but Messi is obviously favored until now, winning the World Cup. But please, Haaland, please, come on.
I don't know. I mean, the way he's rewriting the record books, I think it's going to be a whole lot closer than people are giving him credit for, even if he doesn't win the Champions League.
I hope
even if he doesn't win the Champions League. But hey, it almost feels too positive, right, Manchester City fans? It feels too positive right now. You're still technically 5 points behind, right? With games in hand, I got it. You're still have not lifted the Champions League trophy, but you're going to play either Inter or AC Milan if you can get through who? Real Madrid. So you still haven't necessarily won the FA Cup, but we'll see. It's United, Brighton, it might be done soon. I have no clue, but either one of them completely beatable, as you've seen throughout the course of this season. It almost feels too positive. And you and I, it was even before this Southampton draw, this Arsenal Southampton draw. I think that we had kind of convinced ourselves that the momentum obviously was shifting, and it seems like everybody else has adopted that momentum. And I'm just wondering, what can Mikel Arteta do to essentially, I don't know, swing the tide back in their favor? And is there a tactical trick? Is there something slick that Pep Guardiola does not know about? Because remember, Arteta obviously learned a whole lot from Pep Guardiola. Is there something he can do to turn that momentum back in his favor at the Etihad?
I don't see anything. I think Guardiola knows the plan that Arsenal have, and he knows their limitations, and he's going to exploit them pretty hard. And one of them is named Holgate. Holgate is going to be a limitation going against Erling Haaland. I'm going to say that. Okay, that's definitely a bold prediction from us. I don't think it's bold. I think it's just going to be in fruition. But top four.
You said holding, right?
Holding. I'm sorry.
Rob Holding. Oh, not Mason Holgate, who's got his own battle ahead.
Sorry.
But you're absolutely right. And losing Saliba, that is huge. But I just think, do you play for a draw at the Etihad?
Yeah, you play for a draw. No, you don't. You play to win.
But has that been his?
No, you don't.
But that's what I'm assuming here. Like, does he actually come out with some sort of a absolute defensive shape, considering that defense has been their Achilles heel the last 3 games?
Well, guess we'll have to see. Do you think Arsenal's going to win?
No.
So yeah, people, put down below if you believe that Man City is not gonna get it done with Arsenal, or if you're in the same camp as us that we think Man City is gonna get this done. And in the Champions League too, we're gonna be talking more forwards. But Newcastle, oh my days, Tottenham is in the mud. Conte was right. This is an excuses culture, and they just gotta face the truth. They're not ready to win a Champions League nor a Premier League, not even top 4. Newcastle exposed Tottenham in this game. 5 goals in 20 minutes. 5 goals. Yep. Alexander Isak didn't even believe what was happening. And nobody did. Nobody did. That was embarrassing too. And I want to say, Newcastle have 2 major underrated players with Joelinton and Fabian Schär. They deserve much more recognition. And Joelinton, go to the Brazil national team. Ele merece. Crack the ball to Joelinton. That can play winger and midfielder too. Wanted to say that first.
Yeah, and Eddie Howe is, well, let's see, they're in 3rd place now. So Eddie Howe has definitely put himself in the running for manager of the year in the Premier League. I mean, absolutely, you have to look at that. You have to look at that because the names... the names that you just mentioned, right? Joelinton, he once was laughed at. True. He once was injury prone. He still is a little injury prone. But my goodness, has he been kind of revamped, reinvigorated? Miguel Almiron, there was talk of him leaving. There was talk of him probably heading back to Major League Soccer. There was all sorts of talk. And you've gotten more out of those 2 than I think anybody could have ever dreamed of. And now you've got the guys getting hot that need to get hot at the right time, and that's Alexander Isak, right? $70 million man or 70 million euro man. He's got 10 goals in 11 starts this season, the majority of them coming since 2023 started. But most importantly for Newcastle, what I saw was a team itching to correct a very odd outing against Aston Villa. Right, they were itching to get back to form, and they outworked, they outclassed, they outcared, they whatever you could. I don't know what in the mud means anymore, because frankly, Tottenham was so much lower than that. They were so much lower than that. They were in the crap. They were in the whatever. Not one of them looked like they could anticipate a ball for their life. And frankly, if you look at this. If it weren't for Harry Kane this season, Spurs would honestly be in a relegation battle. Okay? They would. They have conceded.
Has 0 goals in 22 games.
I know. And they have conceded. Spurs have conceded. I think only 5 teams have conceded more goals than Tottenham in the Premier League this season. And all 5 of those teams are currently where? They're currently in a relegation battle. Okay? You take away Harry Kane's 24 goals this season, and that's like a blink of the eye because of what Erling Haaland is doing. Nobody cares what Harry Kane has done, scoring 24 goals in the Premier League, which is pretty fantastic.
Unbelievable.
You take that away, and honestly, I believe it. Spurs is very, very close to a relegation battle this season, and it's sad to see. I mean, I'm pissed off almost for Spurs fans. Perisic asleep on the first goal. Pedro Porro asleep on the second goal.
But what happened? The game was a consequence of a bad decision straight from the start. They play in a 4-3-3 tactic with Pape Sarr playing at the 6. A player that's not used to this intensity, and the team is not used to this formation too. Starting with that, or it was a miracle, or it's going to be a disaster. And it was a disaster. So I want to say, like, Baudrillard, all of these players, I don't think Perisic is a bad player. I don't think Baudrillard is a bad player. I just simply think Tottenham is a badly run club. No, Conte couldn't do it. Mourinho couldn't do it. Even Un Spirit Sant would do better than this man that is right now there. I'm going to say Tottenham and Daniel Levy are so incredibly lucky for the devotion and the love that Son, Kane, and Lloris have given to the club. Icons and legends, and they will never win a trophy for Tottenham. That is atrocious management, and it certainly is not their fault. Kane and Son are talked as one of the best duos ever in Premier League history, and they will not win anything. It's a rebuild. They need to accept the rebuild right now. And talking about Newcastle, I want to say too, Newcastle deserve the top 4 in the Champions League because they're playing better football than Tottenham, playing better football than Liverpool, and certainly playing better football than Chelsea. Well-run club, good decision in the summer, and they are gonna go bold next season and did this summer transfer. I want to see who they're going to bring in. I'm so excited. I'm so excited, Brendan.
Yeah, and still the best defense in the league, right? I mean, everyone expected that to get exposed. Even after that 3-0 loss to Villa, they've still conceded just few. I mean, not quite Barcelona few in the Premier League this season, but they have put together quite an understanding force. I mean, these guys understand each other. Between Botman, between Fabian Schär, every one of these signings came in with a purpose, fit in for a tactical reason, and Eddie Howe's, set up here. And you can't say the same about Spurs. Every one of those guys, I absolutely agree with you. Every one of those guys, as a standalone player, is considered a great player. Pedro Porro, Perisic, Pape Sarr has great potential, but he should have been nowhere close to this 11.
Exactly.
Basuma, my goodness, Basuma, one of the greatest sales and departures that Brighton has ever done, considering how little Spurs have gotten out of him. True. And Richarlison, I love how it's a smack across the face. You're already down 6-1 or whatever the heck it was. And you're like, in the 84th minute, then and only then is when I think Richarlison should get into this game. Like, how much of a slap across the face for a guy that was the face of a franchise, the face of Everton for a long time. And I'm sure they wish they had him back.
Scored the best goal of the World Cup.
Exactly. And you're absolutely right. All of this does point back to one place. And it's not Mason on the sideline. It's not, what's his name, Stellini or whatever, whoever leads it now. And it certainly wasn't Conte necessarily. It is, we just said the same thing in a different way. But listen, Newcastle has done this before to them. In fact, I think their worst loss ever, or their worst loss previous to this loss, was back in 1996. And guess who Spurs lost to then in 1996? It was Newcastle. And it was 7-1, but it was only 2-0 at the half, and they didn't concede 5 goals in the first 22 minutes. But listen, I think the best part of this for Newcastle, because as much as we talk about how much Spurs did not show up, and I feel bad for their fan base, but Newcastle obviously deserves the credit here, and I am scared for those that are going to be going against Newcastle next season, because I think Alexander Isak is just getting started.
Top
under
25 striker in the world. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's given much more space than he was at Real Sociedad in the Prem. I was shocked with that game of Tottenham. Shocked. Yeah. And I want to just say, because we pointed at Richarlison, and I said the stat, is mad. Richarlison scored the best goal in the World Cup, or can be in the debates. And for Tottenham, he's not a bad player, but he can score goals. And in 22 games, he hasn't done that. That is absolutely mad and shows the atrocious management at Tottenham. At the top. Not Conte's fault. It's just at the top, they don't give him the resources to the managers. So
if Richarlison started against Newcastle, at least there'd be a broken leg or something somewhere, because he would have torn somebody a new one in to try and get this ball back, and we weren't seeing it. Son was basically absent the majority of the game. I've never been, and I'm hugely respectful of Son. I am always careful because he disappears. He disappears sometimes, and he is dangerously close. I mean, not dangerously close. I think it's pretty much guaranteed. He ain't getting anywhere close to 20 goals this season.
Go to Real Madrid, son. Go to Real Madrid, son. Just fix it. Well, if Kane is leaving, just go.
Well, you want to guarantee Harry Kane is leaving? Just watch that game back, man. Watch that game back. There's no reason for him to stay.
Oh yeah, guaranteed.
There's no reason for him to stay.
Kane is leaving. Yeah. Kane is leaving Tottenham, and who do you think? You think it's United?
Well, if Bayern were smart.
If Bayern were smart in the past, they wouldn't got Cristiano Ronaldo, man. I'll say that. Now they have to spend 100 million for Harry Kane, and with Ronaldo, they would have won the Bundesliga. I'll say that. They're gonna win, maybe, but let's see.
We'll see.
We'll see. But with two, mentioning how Tottenham, I think United should be a comparison. And this season, Man United, they won the League Cup, and now in the final of the FA Cup, that is a huge W in my opinion, and they ended the top 4 too in the Champions League. A positive season by Erik ten Hag, and better things will come in the future. I really believe in that. More options, better substitutes. I'm always saying that. And a ball-playing goalkeeper. Ball-playing goalkeeper. I know that Gea's got the clean sheets, but you need a ball-playing goalkeeper with Erik ten Hag. Not even United.
Yeah. But come on. They should have gotten past Sevilla, man.
But you have Maguire. Look at the handicap when you have Maguire. That is what happens. And it's Sevilla Cup. Sevilla's won 6 times the Europa League. I wouldn't be surprised if they get to 7 this season.
Sevilla is in a relegation battle. They are a shade of what they were in the past. There's no way to sugarcoat that. That was a massive, massive L on Ten Hag's revamp of Manchester United. They had every bit, every ounce that they needed to get by Sevilla. Okay, if you're going to lose in the end to AS Roma or somebody like that, fine. Okay, but when it comes down to it, they should have gotten by Sevilla, and that one is a red X instead of a green check mark on the did they make progress this season for Ten Hag's report card.
Because they had no Lisandro Martinez, no Varane. I'm not gonna blame. For me, Erik ten Hag, he just needs to clean this team more. Like players like Phil Jones, Scott McTominay, players that Martial. They need a striker. They need more center backs at the back, better options, and they need to sign Jeremy Frimpong, in my opinion, one of the best right wing backs in the world right now. That's what Man United need, in my opinion, and they will be a world-class team if everything develops the right way with Ten Hag. That has the potential. It has the potential. And I'll say, if Man United, they won the League Cup. If Man United win the FA Cup too, it's a huge win season. And I will say, if they get Champions League, it will be a better season than Arsenal if they finish second. Man United winning 2 trophies. That is mad for Erik ten Hag to do that in his first season. So, I think it's overall wins. Rashford's looking much better. Sancho, iffy. Anthony, big buy, but I think he'll grow like Grealish a bit. So, Sabitzer, no. Eriksen injured. So, there's still a lot of question marks. And I feel I really know we'll have answers in the future with that.
You really agree? Okay, but Anthony needs to be measured by goals and assists. Grealish does a whole lot more than Anthony off the ball. Does he not?
True. I agree.
I mean, I just feel, okay. I mean, I get that. I absolutely get the comparison.
Overpriced.
Oh, they absolutely are. I mean, but
they can still perform.
Ten Hag needs to do. It was purely that loss to Sevilla was obviously an understanding that we are at the beginning of the Ten Hag revival. We are not at the end of it, which we all knew, but maybe it did need to still be said. Okay, and injuries, you're absolutely right, did play a part. But once upon a time, Harry Maguire was a serviceable center back. I don't know what that was. Man. I mean, his head just gets in the way.
How does Maguire have 200 games for Man United? How? I guarantee you 80% of those games, Man United fans weren't happy. They just weren't. And getting captaincy.
Ten Hag is still insanely cordial about his man, about Maguire.
But he won't.
Which is, you know what? It's the managerial thing to do. It's the right thing. You don't throw your own players under the bus, no matter how much they've cost you some things. But let's be honest, it wasn't just Maguire in that game. Okay. Okay. But we're going back to things. But so you do feel that even if United, I mean, they missed a chance to essentially consolidate and get after third place. You do believe that it is still a successful season, but only if they win the FA Cup against their city rivals who they have had a tough time.
Season. Okay. It's a successful.
Oh, it's already.
For me, if they get the Champions League spot. Not already.
Okay.
You can still have a miracle from Liverpool or Tottenham. It's a miracle, people, okay? Understand me at home. But I really think Newcastle and United are the teams that gonna end in the top 4. So I think, yes, successful season.
Right.
I think Man United fans, if it was Erik ten Hag to win the Prem the first season he's up front, that's unrealistic. And getting 2 titles, Some people would have said that was unrealistic too. So if Erik ten Hag managed to get that done, that is a huge success in my opinion. But we're talking about success, failure. I think the team that is the synonym of that is Chelsea. Ups and downs all the way. And we know Julian Nagelsmann and Luis Enrique both will not coach Chelsea, Fabrizio Romano has informed. And this must be that Todd Boehly didn't impress them. And it doesn't look good in long-term hopes. Because if these managers do not trust in the project, Pochettino will have to be the choice. And I am not sold with Pochettino, people. But I think that Pochettino, the reports say that Pochettino trusts and will make key players Levi Colville and Mykhailo Mudryk. He says that Mykhailo Mudryk reportedly will be one of the best players in the world with him. So that is a very interesting take if that were to happen. So I just wanted to start with that.
Who is the best player for Pochettino?
I'd say best developed player, Dele Alli. Dele Alli went from MK Dons to Tottenham. At given times, he was world class with Pochettino. And without him, not even close. Not even. And Kane too, great development. It's insane. The best times of Tottenham were with Pochettino. So, does Todd Boehly expect his best times to be with Pochettino too, Breton?
I guess so. I'm so tired.
You're not happy.
I'm so tired. I thought the Nagelsmann. I mean, it was just the right signing. It was the right thing to do long term, and it just out of all the times he's been persistent and he has continued to pursue. For him to back off of this one, I feel like it's a mistake.
I agree.
But it is what it is, and we have to continue the drama that is Chelsea right now. And my goodness, I mean, I'm looking at this is just atrocious. I mean, 4 losses in a row now. When is the last time they've won a game? It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. And this is just starting, man. This is just starting.
And another bad sign too that I want to say too is Chelsea need leaders. Yeah. They're lucky they extended Aspi, but Thiago Silva's going to leave. And a huge underrated player, in my opinion, and world-class for his national team is Kovacic too. He's going to leave too. And if Kovacic plays for Liverpool or Man City, boy, oh boy, Premier League teams are going to be going crazy against them. I really expect him to leave. And then Chelsea fans will be, we were so lucky when we had him. Oh my gosh. Look, decision-making makes that happen. So, wanted to mention it. Wanted to mention with Kovacic. Because, he'll leave.
Real.
With Guardiola, Kovacic, that's going to be insane. Gundogan replacement. What?
39 points. I just look at this table and I can't believe my eyes. I mean, -3 goal difference, 39 points. They've lost 2 more than they've won. We've got 7 games left in this season, and there is no flipping way that you can save your blushes.
I agree.
In any way, shape, or form. It just, is this a changing of the guard here? It can't be with such a blank check type of system that's going on with Boehly. I'm so confused as to how it got this bad with the amount of quality on this squad. And even with, I mean, was letting go of Graham Potter the wrong thing? No.
Maybe
was
the
letting go of
timing
Tuchel
too. Maybe the timing too, Breton. I agree. Just like the timing of the Tuchel sacking, the Graham Potter sacking, that was the worst timing too, in my opinion. The team, if I said in the last pod, Todd Boehly needs to start appointing better managers than the previous at Chelsea. Tuchel is better than Graham Potter, and Graham Potter is better than Lampard. The next manager must be better than Lampard, Potter, and certainly at the same level at least as Thomas Tuchel. And he must impress. It's so important for Boehly, this next manager choice, in my opinion. Because if not, they will not be in the top 4 in the next season. Because it's like Liverpool is starting to make better decisions. Jota's back, Darwin, Luis Diaz, all these beast players are back. And Trent is finally playing in midfield with possession. So 4 assists in his last 3 games. So Liverpool are showing great signs. And please sign 2 midfielders, please. Oh,
they will.
So
they'll get it. They'll get it. I mean, they know the mistakes they've made.
Exactly.
2 wins. Golly, did they destroy Leeds?
Oh, yeah.
We won't talk about Leeds right now. But no, listen. But they also beat Leeds and they beat Forest and they conceded 2 goals to Forest.
Exactly.
So I'm not necessarily guaranteed or convinced that just 2 midfielders will do it. I mean, aren't we past the point? Do we really think it's going to snap back to all the best times?
No,
with just 2 midfielders in here?
I agree. I think they need a center back too. Need a center back too because they just don't have the same depth as Man City.
Yeah.
Biggest difference, in my opinion, of Man City and Liverpool is the center back depth. Akanji, Ruben Dias, Hake, Laporte, Stones, and then the other side you got Virgil van Dijk, you got Joel Matip, and then you have Joe Gomez. You just don't have the same level. Konate, yes, great potential, but not the same guarantees as Man City. So that's where the two reinforcement sections I really think Liverpool are going to get is center back and midfield too, because forwards, just let them be. And Firmino, supposedly, I like to see the Barca. I just like everything with Barca, but Firmino, great legend too of Liverpool.
Not unless St. Louis City lets him go. I've heard he was in talks with St. Louis City for a while. In Major League Soccer. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's about that time for Firmino. No, he's got a lot left to give. He can be good. I'd like to see him back in the Bundesliga, frankly.
That'd be interesting, but Dortmund wouldn't get him. Bayern.
Why not Bayern?
Yeah, why not Bayern? I like that. Why not Bayern? That's a good way of saying it.
That's a cheap signing for Bayern. I mean, why spend 30 million on a 16-year-old when you can get Firmino?
They extended Choupo-Moting though.
They did. Yeah, but that's good for cover. That's good for cover because just like Liverpool found out this season, you can sign Diogo Jota, you can sign Luis Diaz, you can sign all these players, but you can't keep them healthy. It doesn't matter.
True.
Diaz he was out for how long? 4 months? True. 4.5 months?
Mm-hmm.
And it's great to see him back on the pitch, but my goodness, I don't think that was part of anyone's expectations. And yeah, you talk about depth in the back hurting them, depth up top hurt them quite a bit. I mean, very clearly, remember who we used to talk about and who still has a whole lot of promise. Carvalho's out of here. He's looking to leave. Fabio Carvalho. Clearly, Curtis Jones.
Put him alone.
Yeah, but Curtis Jones is clearly not necessarily up to the task. I know he's played an okay, serviceable role, but there's a lot of question here. I think Klopp has to change, and I don't think he's done that yet.
I think too, the management at the top from Man City and Chelsea are better than Liverpool too with the loans. I just feel like they do the loans better. And a player like Curtis Jones, a player like Fabio Carvalho, I think they maybe would have done the call of putting him on loan. And Klopp, being a Wonderkid manager too, he always trusts a lot the youth, which we love. But at given times when you have competition as world class as you have with City, you just have to pay the bills with the top players. So that's a valid point. That's a valid point. And people, put down below your Premier League thoughts. We want to see what you guys are thinking with the top 4 and who's gonna win it too. But we mentioned Thomas Tuchel, and it's true. After the sacking of Julian Nagelsmann and the appointment of Thomas Tuchel, Bayern are now out of the DF Pokal, out of the Champions League. They got destroyed by Erling Haaland, and they are bottom of Dortmund. Dortmund is ahead in the Bundesliga, and that is worrying signs for Bayern Munich. Thomas Tuchel has lost the same amounts of games this season as Julian Nagelsmann. In 7 games, Thomas Tuchel, he's lost 3 games, and Nagelsmann lost 3 games in 37 matches. So that's the difference. Consistency.
And I mean, I guess you're calling the Nagelsmann thing, right, a long-term switch, right? It's a cultural switch. He didn't fit the progress that they needed to see. Well, what is the progress that you needed to see when you switched Nagelsmann out right at the home stretch of the season? He's a perfectly capable manager to go on and win the Bundesliga, right? He's a perfectly capable manager to take a good shot at the Champions League semis, at least, right? Champions League final, at least. He's a perfectly capable manager for the short term. Let him finish out the season if it's a long-term change. This is not one of those things where you where you're bucking a manager because you are just going downward. Can't stop it. They've lost the locker room. I think based on how you've seen these players react to how quick Nagelsmann went out and how quick Tuchel came in, I think it's very clear that they were blindsided. Regardless of if they came out with a positive or regardless if they came out with a negative when it comes down to it. I just don't understand why, specifically Oliver Kahn, why you could not make this change in the offseason after it's done. After it's done. Because there's no way Thomas Tuchel comes in and says, and catapults them to the next realm. They have very serviceable players, except they did not expect Sadio Mane to be injured for as long as he was. They expected maybe a striker to break out the season that did not break out, or for them to sign one that did not happen. Well, they still outscore. Bayern still has outscored Dortmund by 13 goals this year. They have still outscored the third top scorer in the Bundesliga by 26 goals. Don't give me that I don't have a striker or the capacity to score goals to win the Bundesliga crap. Okay? I don't understand it at all. It was the dumbest thing for them to do to replace Nagelsmann at the time that they placed him. Do it at the end of the season if it's long-term. Makes no sense whatsoever.
I agree. A lot of points that you said, but just the offensive point, I still think they need a better striker at the helm.
They do, but
because the Champions League, they were mega exposed against Man City because that. If they had Lewandowski there, it would have been a very different game. I understand it's Lewandowski too, but I just feel like a lot of decisions now, people are starting to point fingers at the management of Bayern Munich. They say, we should have gotten a striker, Harry Kane or Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't know who. But in my opinion, Bayern Munich, like players like Gravenberch, they're not looking good. Gnat Sanch in the past was a wrong transfer too. A lot of bad decisions. But when they hit, they really hit, which I'm almost yell Alfonso Davies in the league. But what I mean is they're having, there's worrying signs. It's not all fairy tale like it was in the past. And I completely agree. I completely agree because I really hope this season Dortmund doesn't make that happen. But when Muller goes, they are going to feel it a lot, Bayern Munich. A legend that keeps the consistency high. And, yeah, he mustn't have been happy with all that's happening right now. It's not good times. Not good times.
But, like, that also kind of flies in the face of the fact that they are outscoring the Bundesliga. I get that there's a limitation involved, but the strikers did not concede 3 goals in 14 minutes versus Mainz. Right? They didn't do that, okay? I mean, when all is said and done, you got to look at it and say, is Upamecano the guy? I mean, is the Upamecano delict, is that defense as good as we thought it was? It clearly is not, because they were exposed as well in the Champions League. And now I know he is. I believe in that. But listen, come on. I know it was an outlier, but Mainz had 25% possession in that game, and they outshot Bayern. They outshot Bayern, which is actually a data point for the fact that they do need a striker. But they won't start Matisse Tell. They won't give him a chance. They won't let him work through things. And Choupo-Moting has done literally everything you've asked the guy to do, right? He scores goals when he kind of needs to score goals. Well, I honestly believe that they railroaded their own season by getting rid of Nagelsmann when they got rid of him. You don't need to make some cultural shift mid-season. You don't.
In the past, if you tell me 5 years ago that Bayern Munich would extend with Choupo-Moting as striker, I just wouldn't say that would be the case. And seeing the standards dropping slowly, I consider that this season, Dortmund are really, this is the best shot that they've ever had to win the Bundesliga, because this Bayern Munich team is making wrong decisions left, right, and center with Oliver Kahn, as it seems. Dortmund, please, Borussia Dortmund, give the first Bundesliga title to Marco Reus, a player that deserves it more than anyone in the Bundesliga to win. Okay, and Jude Bellingham, one of the leaders of that team, a phenom, a generational talent. The management of Dortmund, please, just get it done. And Dortmund, in my opinion, they deserve it so much, the Bundesliga title, because they let Haaland go, and now they have Malen that's going bold. Great for. He's got 7 goals, I think, in his last 5 games. Yeah, Sebastian Haller that beat cancer huge W in my opinion, and even Karim Adeyemi and Youssoufa Moukoko. They're absolutely stacked at forwards.
Yeah.
And yeah, they deserve it. They deserve it.
I would love it. I mean, we all know who was in charge the last time Dortmund actually won, right? And it was somebody essentially promoted from within. I mean, Klopp knew Dortmund through and through, and Edin Terzic is a guy that could essentially do this for Dortmund. And it's absolutely wonderful to see. Just imagine the yellow wall. Just imagine, like, they have some of the most rabid support in all of world football.
True.
It's a bucket list. I want to get to Signal Iduna. I want to make it happen as soon as possible. It's obviously where Christian Pulisic, from selfishly from an American football standpoint, it's obviously got a place near and dear to any American fan's heart because they watched Pulisic break through. They watched Reina break through there, and they gave opportunities to American footballers when the majority, I mean, let's be honest, we were rubbish for a long period of time. So they gave opportunities where opportunities, they allowed him to make mistakes and then move on. But okay, back to the actual point.
5 games left. 5 games
Five
left.
games, 3 at home. 3 at home, and they've only lost 1 at home this season. So they're doing pretty good. They're 2 away right now, I believe, are Augsburg and maybe like Bochum or somebody else in kind of a relegation battle. Or Bremen, maybe, who's not in a relegation battle. But listen, they could do this. They could do this, but they're going to have to win out to get it done. They have to win their final 5 games to get this done. And I can only imagine what it's going to be like in Dortmund if it happens.
It's going to be absolutely nuts. And another player, too, I want to mention, Dortmund, too. Dortmund has 2 players, Emre Can and Julian Brandt, have developed so well with Edin Terzic, too. What a season they're having, and they totally deserve this Bundesliga title with Jude, Reus, so many of these key players of Dortmund. But my favorite team in the Bundesliga, we all know who that is. If you listen to FC Wonderkid podcasts, my favorite manager right now, I'm going to say it's Xabi Alonso. Xabi Alonso is going bold with this Bayer Leverkusen team because they're 13 games unbeaten. They're in an Europa League semi-final, and nobody wants to face them because they beat RB Leipzig, and they went from 16th to now 6th position in the Bundesliga. And I think they're going to break that top 5. I really believe they're going to do that. They're still 5 points away, but I really believe that. And Leverkusen, I said it, Jeremy Frimpong is one of the best right wing backs in the world. Young white wing backs, 100%. But Jeremy Frimpong and Moussa Diaby, that right side of Bayer Leverkusen, is one of the most exciting right sides in football right now. Pay attention because these 2 players are going to be leaving Leverkusen. Masterclass by Xabi Alonso. So great development. It
is. I think it's going to be tough for Leverkusen to hold on to Xabi Alonso.
I mean, one more season. Season.
Yeah, but I mean, what if, we'll talk about West Ham in a little bit, but what if David Moyes left West Ham and he had the opportunity to go manage a club in London, a club that has some financial backing, has a decent core, has obviously now is also in 2 years running, I think, 2 European semifinals, Europa last year and Europa Conference this year. Who's to say Xabi Alonso wouldn't necessarily take that?
I just hope Wirtz says no to that. It says, please, Xabi, stay with me. I can go to Barca, Real Madrid in 1-2 years, please.
Bayern.
Hope. Or Bayern, yeah. So I'm really happy because for me, Xabi Alonso made Vicente Del Bosque play Iniesta at the winger position. He was that good when he was in his prime, Xabi Alonso. Xabi Alonso and Busquets. That was the midfield with Iniesta at winger. The Gavi treatment, as some people can say. So I really respect this man, a gentleman in football, and I hope he was coached by Guardiola, Xabi Alonso, and coached by Jose Mourinho. The potential that he has is immense.
Yeah.
Immense.
Big jump, though, man. Big jump. I mean, he went from Real Sociedad B, right? Not even Real Sociedad. He went from Real Sociedad B where I think he even had a losing record, if I'm not mistaken,
But the style of
and
play.
then jumped on right up to Leverkusen. But listen, yeah, we love Leverkusen simply because they do give chances, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Adli has been huge for them this season. Right now, Adam Hlozek, it's great to see his name again. He was huge to secure their semifinal win, right? And I think he even scored again over the weekend in the Bundesliga, right? Against Leipzig. I think he was the first. So I love it for the personnel. I think the Xabi Alonso had a tough start. He had a lot he had to wade through from personnel decision. But yeah, I mean, 13 games unbeaten. You obviously can't argue with that. My question to you is, do you think they have what it takes to get by Mourinho's AS Roma?
Europa League. Yes, I do believe they do have what it takes. But I'm going to be betting on Roma and Mourinho with Dybala. Because in European competitions, this man is lethal. Feyenoord are having an unbelievable season. But Mourinho in the knockout stages, you just can't bet against him. And Xabi Alonso is going to learn a lot. He's going to learn a lot within this semifinal. That at a young age as a manager, he's already in these moments. So Europa League time, put down below. What do you think is going to happen in the Europa League? Because we have two matches, Sevilla Juve and Leverkusen against Roma. So what's your choice with Sevilla Juve?
Oh man, right now I gotta say Juve.
I go Sevilla.
I gotta say Juve.
If Juve wasn't in the top four, and they didn't have those 15 points back, I would be Juve because they were all or nothing to go to the Champions League with Europa League. But considering this is Sevilla Cup for me, 6 times they won this cup, I'll go with Sevilla against Juve because that Juve defense after Bonucci's still there, but after Chiellini's left and De Ligt's left, it hasn't been the same. And Bremer needs a partner in crime desperately.
Yeah. I'm with you there. But come on, man. They knocked off Sporting. Give them a little credit. They got it done. They got what they needed to.
But they didn't play better. But they didn't play better than Sporting. That's why I'm not gonna say sure, but I'll be surprised if Juve goes through. I'm saying that.
Fair enough. I will not be surprised if Juve goes through. I honestly think they've got what they need to get through Sevilla. I mean, Sevilla's got Loic Bade has definitely woken up some. Loic Bade, we must remember, okay? He was on loan. He was on loan to Nottingham Forest for like half a season, right? From Stade Rennais, and then just inexplicably never played, never once, whatever. He was one of their 38 million signings. How's that going, Forest? And now he is the backbone of Sevilla. And I get it, but I think Juve is going to do this. Come on. Cuadrado, it might be his last shout, right? Working from right fullback or right wing back, whatever he's playing there. I think they're going to get this done. Locatelli's been okay as of like nobody has played really, really well, and I think they can take it to another level to get to that final. But the other one is obviously the one that we all care about, right? That's the Leverkusen Roma battle. And Roma, I gotta say it, man. Mourinho broke my heart. First off, I hate that performative crap that he did in extra time when they finally put the damn thing away. Feyenoord was going to win this game up until Dybala's strike.
Yes.
Right? Going to win this game up until Dybala's strike. They played well enough, I think, to at least get out of there with a result. And they had that late 80th minute goal, and I thought it was going to happen. And then, as Mourinho tends to do to me, rips out my heart and stomps on it because I thought Feyenoord, they should win the Eredivisie, but I thought that they had what they needed to win this Europa League championship.
Just support Mourinho, man. Just support Mourinho.
I know.
Man.
It's not that I don't support him. He's been there. He's done that, and that's part and parcel of why he's in another semifinal. So
I like that. How crazy it is that Tottenham sacked him before a final.
Oh my gosh.
That is karma now. Karma. That is football karma.
But based on their other decisions, it's really not that crazy. Based on their track record and making decisions, I think maybe their best decision and their only good decision is probably the same decision that's maybe held them back in revamping and making big structural changes to which is probably what they need to do. And that's holding on to Harry Kane.
Yep, I agree.
Right?
I agree.
It's weird to call it as a mistake, but like
they could have
Harry
sold
Kane
him for 150.
It's like the best. yeah, it's the best worst decision they've ever made because Harry Kane keeps scoring, but at the same time, he could have financed a new likening, a new
Well,
change,
I just
which is everything that Spurs needs.
I still think they could have done something with him. I still think that is just Daniel Levy, atrocious management at the top. I'm gonna say that once again. And if we're talking about management too, and we're talking European competitions, and don't forget, people, like this video if you're listening until now, and put down below your Europa League predictions. But everybody's here for the big boy competition that is the Champions League. And I want to say the Italian teams are going bold in European competitions. 5 teams are still remaining in European competitions with AC Milan, Inter, Juve, Fiorentina, and Roma. All these teams deserve recognition, and Calcio is back. I really believe it is back because an AC Milan Inter semifinal. I think we should be talking about this one first. It's because, in my opinion, Inter have the best squad in Serie A, top to bottom, bench, reserves, but AC Milan have the world-class players in given positions with Mike Maignan, Theo Hernandez, and Rafael Leão, and even underrated players, Benazir, Kjaer, Tonali, and Tomori. All deserve more recognition, in my opinion. So I'm gonna be picking AC Milan that have one of the best wingers in the world with Rafael Leão. They're going to the final of the Champions League. The Rossoneri, Ganda Rafael Leão, top 5 winger in the world, and people doubted me and say Portuguese bias, this, that. Look now, a Champions League final. Oh,
let's be honest, you've just transferred your bias from Portuguese to Italian because all the Italian clubs kicked out the Portuguese clubs in European competition.
Oh, man, Inter. Come on. I hope AC Milan does revenge for Benfica and Porto and beats Inter. Come on.
I'm with you. But Rafa Leão is unmarkable right now. And getting Napoli, I don't know. I don't know what to think about. Now, they've already won Serie A. I thought that they would maybe do something a little bit different, go for it. But to lose multiple times, to get spanked the first time, was that a 4-0 loss or 4-1 loss or whatever it was in the league? Leading up to that did a lot. I mean, that did a lot to break down the psyche that Napoli was unbeatable. Facts. It really did. And AC Milan pounced on it. And yes, if you have Mike Maignan in goal right now, man, that Lille pipeline is the gift that keeps on giving for Serie A clubs. I got to say that because Rafa Leão, Mike Maignan, if you asked me what if you look at their history, right, and what Victor Osimhen signed for Napoli for, and what Nicolas Pepe signed for Arsenal from Lille, and you asked me what I thought Mike Maignan and Rafa Leão cost AC Milan, what would you say, right? You'd probably say well north of 100 million for the two of them. Yeah, nowhere close, man.
Maldini.
Nowhere close. Not even like 40% of that. What was it, like 40 million for the two? I know they recently had to pay the 19 million whatever to get him out of the insanity that was in Portugal. But when it comes down to it, man, two of the best signings, and Rafa Leão, after that atrocious start to 2023, he's back to his end of season form, which is exactly what won them the Scudetto last season.
It's true.
So I'm with you. I think Milan has what it takes to get by Inter Milan, unless for some reason Lukaku has just woken up with his 2 goals. But I don't see it. I think AC Milan will win this. I'm going to say it. I want AC Milan to win this because even though Napoli's going to win the Scudetto, I think going after you win the Scudetto, going after a Champions League final, that's a pretty good alternative, is it not?
It's facts. Huge credit to Daniele Maldini to putting this AC Milan team together. Rebuild vibes. Rafa Leão, Tonali, Maignan, Tomori, all these players, as you said, they were cheap buys. And if it weren't for Maldini, AC Milan wouldn't have won the Scudetto last season, and certainly they wouldn't be in a semi-final of the Champions League. Back to the greatest. And I'm going to say this. Top goalkeepers in the world right now. I'll put Courtois 1, Mike Maignan 2, and the 3 and 4 with Ederson and Alisson. respectively. In my opinion, the Prem bias, they are just not better than Courtois and Mike Maignan. Everybody should know that, in my opinion. So I want to see the comments on that one. Because, some people are going to be, ball-playing goalkeeper, they're better. No.
Yeah.
I can say that already.
I'm with you right now. It's just crazy to me for Milan. Maignan was still injured. He was not back yet.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take out that 6-7 game stretch to start 2023, we're talking about, a Milan team that is forcing Napoli to the end here. And they've got, it's probably 1 to 2 point difference instead of the 14 or 16 it is right now. And you've still got them in the Champions League semifinals. So once again, it's still, they're keeping Rafa Leao. I mean,
I hope they do.
I think they are. They're doing everything they most possibly can to get that over the line, and I think they will. But
I hope he stays. It's the best decision for Rafa too. Like, don't force the move out. You're just happy in Milan, and it's a recognized club. It's a football heritage club, AC Milan, that will return to better times in the future, in my opinion.
They will,
given their history and respect. But we want to talk about the big boy. The big boy semi-final, an early final, an anticipated final for everyone. Real Madrid against Man City. More specifically, against Guardiola. Because Guardiola is the eternal rival of Real Madrid. Ever since he played that boy Messi, Iniesta, Xavi, now with Man City, he has the new big boy in town, Erling Haaland. That Haaland has the opportunity to make history against Vinicius Junior and Real Madrid. That he right now has 12 goals in the Champions League, the top goal scorer of the Champions League, Erling Haaland. And if he gets this done and wins the Premier League too, Ballon d'Or talk 100% for Erling Haaland. I think that can happen, and we have to wait and see. But let's see.
We do.
But see.
But I think there's also revenge. There's also revenge that is very clearly in order here, and revenge is a very, very tough animal, right? Because sometimes it can make you so blinded by rage that from a Pep perspective, you could do things just to really want to drive it home against Ancelotti, specifically Rodrigo. I'm sure he wants to put a crunching tackle in on Rodrigo at some point.
I've got something on Rodrigo that Rodrigo
what's that?
is a Champions League built player. His idol is clearly Cristiano Ronaldo because in 37 games, Rodrigo has 15 goals and 9 assists in the Champions League. He is meant for big occasions, and he is one of the reasons why Real Madrid have been so good in the Champions League the past season too. Incredible goal in the last minute. History.
But here's the biggest difference, I think, and here's why I think Manchester City has the best shot ever, right? To get this done. It's not going to be Gabi Jesus up top. It is Erling Haaland. And Erling Haaland is, I don't know if anyone here has ever watched Ted Lasso, and I know it's kind of like sacrilege to watch Ted Lasso if you're an actual football fan. But he uses a line. He says, you need to have the mind of a goldfish, essentially, which means if you make a mistake or if you feel revenge or you feel something, you need to forget about it and move on, right? Erling Haaland is the goldfish here. Erling Haaland is the guy that's going to make the difference. He doesn't care. He was not part of this fixture last season. He doesn't care, right? And when it comes down to it, I mean, that is absolutely massive for Manchester City with this. And that's why I do think they're going to get it done, barring some ridiculous Vinny Jr. masterclass or Luka Modric once again defies logic and has a day, or Rodrigo, as you just mentioned, or Benzema. Oh, crap. Somehow I'm talking myself out of this. I don't know. But as I'm going to stick to it here, Manchester City over 2 legs is the stronger team, in my opinion.
Every time this happens, the Galacticos prove people wrong. Oh my days. Because in the last 13 seasons, Real Madrid have won 5 Champions League titles. And that happens because of what? The midfield. Kroos, Modric, and now options like Valverde, Tchouaméni. In the past, you had Casemiro, and people are forgetting. And even the likes of Camavinga. Camavinga, I'll say this. Camavinga for 31 million. Long term is going to be seen as one of the biggest bargains in football. This is a Galactico in the making and a player that will not leave the club. Can play left back, and at given times, he's been world class in his performances. And Valverde too. Man of the match against Chelsea. Valverde can do it all. A box-to-box player to the essence, and Valverde must be in the top, I'll say top 3 midfielders in the world this season. I'll say that. It's very bold, but Real Madrid are where they are because of Valverde. It's bold. It's really bold. I know it's really bold. De Bruyne, I'll say Valverde. I really think Valverde is starting to be the engine. In that game with Chelsea, with no Valverde and Rodrigo, would have been very, very different. But you talked about Vini Jr. And Vini Jr. This season has 21 goals and 16 assists. And if Real Madrid go through with Man City and win the Champions League, Vinicius Jr. wins 2 Champions League in which he's one of the key players. He must be in the top 10 of the Ballon d'Or, minimal. If not, top 3 in my opinion. I'll say that because he was not even in the top 10 last season. And Eder Militão too, my last point. Eder Militão, if Man City are going to go through, Haaland has to be that Eder Militão. And Eder Militão has the opportunity to be considered the best centre-back in the world in these 2 fixtures. I believe it's Ronald Araújo, but Eder Militão has to go bold against Erling Haaland. So that is another matchup that I'm going to be very, very excited to see. So I wanted to say all this. And Benzema too, staying. He's staying as it seems. Kroos is staying. He is. Benzema is staying. Ancelotti, a lot of talk that he might be staying. Modric, does Modric leave and Jude Bellingham comes and replaces him? That would be mad. That would be mad.
No. No, they're better off. Get Gabri Vega.
Nice
I want to see Gabri Vega.
Nice shout.
Jude, come on. that'd be cheating to bring Bellingham in. But do you think Camavinga? I don't know. Is there an argument to be made that his best role might actually be left back?
I don't think it is. I think it's a learning experience for him, in which at left back he'll have more duels and he'll improve the fast break in the future. So I think it's Ancelotti just managing his career. And at 20, if he's a good left back, learning with those one-on-one situations, I cannot wait to see Camavinga in future El Clásicos. But I'm gonna did we say Man City? I'm gonna say Man City. 2 people with Erling Haaland. Yep, I am.
After all this,
the major difference from last season to this season, it's Erling Haaland. And Erling Haaland and Guardiola can be the kryptonite of Real Madrid. So let's wait and see if that happens. But I believe it will happen. I'll say this.
The semifinal from last season, if I recall, at the Etihad, right? It was Thibaut Courtois, right? That was the game that he had a couple egregious mistakes. Do you remember that?
That's true.
That one where he was going to clear the ball and on accident kicked it and it went too far ahead, and I think that was Vinny Jr.'s goal, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, I doubt that Lightning's going to strike twice on that one to start out, and they ended up, I think they were down 4-1. They came back and it was 4-3 when all was said and done. But listen, it's going to be a barn burner. I don't think there's any real games to play here. Away goals are gone. This is going to be straight the cream of the crop. I mean, I'm absolutely excited for this one. I still think Manchester City is going to get it done. But yes, clearly, we all know Real Madrid's pedigree. With Cristiano, without Cristiano, it doesn't matter. With Benzema, without Benzema. Listen, Real Madrid has been there, done that. But I think Pep has prepared for this one, and Erling Haaland is going to be the difference maker.
It's the eternal rival, Pep Guardiola. He was made to go against Real Madrid, and now he's putting players like Arteta, the company in the past, now managers that their enemy is Real Madrid, the eternal rivalry now. And it's going to be more and more. It's going to be a bigger thing, El Clasico, in my opinion, in 5 to 10 years' time. La Liga just needs to play their cards better, in my opinion. And me mentioning this, I'm gonna be talking. But put down below your choices for the Champions League. But yeah, mentioning We cannot mention, unfortunately, Champions League and Barcelona in the same sentence this season. We could have if Ronaldo Araújo, I'll once again say it again, Ronaldo Araújo in that game against Atletico Madrid showed once again that he is the number one center-back in the world right now. Barca have only conceded 9 goals in the league because of him, and Ter Stegen is looking so good because he has ahead of him Ronaldo Araújo. And Barca with Xavi, it's underrated how Xavi and Barca have now youngsters as fundamental pieces. Xavi, in his short time at Barca, has Balde as a key player at left back, Pedri a key player, Gavi a key player, and Ronaldo Araújo, the number one center back in the world. Great job by Xavi, and things to come are only going to get better. Only going to get better.
It's got to be a record, right? I mean, if we look this up, if they wind up only conceding 9 goals by the end of the season, it's 9 goals in what, 30 games?
It's a record. I think it's a record.
It's got to be. And they're probably a far way off in terms of, they've got some room, I guess, to get this done. But yeah, Ter Stegen has come up big multiple times this season for them, even beyond, Ronaldo Araújo. I mean, he was out with injury multiple times. I mean, hell, what are they using Marcus Alonso as, right? They're still using scraps in some respects. But it is amazing to me that, yes, Alejandro Balde, his development has accelerated so well, right? To the point where he's now considered a odds-on left-back lock at Barcelona. I mean, the majority of people that have watched him would not have necessarily said that was going to be the case. But sometimes you put people in the moment and they get it done. And Balde, I think, is probably one of the bigger successes that Xavi can take credit for this season.
100%.
Absolutely.
I 100% agree. And look what happens when Barca have Frenkie de Jong and Pedri back. Yep. Atletico de Madrid is playing great football, but this Barca team just gives guarantees with Xavi. Please sign better wingers and a bench for next season, and Barca will be contenders to win the Champions League. Right off the bat. Right off the bat.
Man.
I'll say that.
That was a Ferran Torres goal. Come on, give him a little credit, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Man, I'll give more credit to Lamine Yamal, man. Lamine Yamal, 15 years old, youngest player ever to be called up to the Barca first team, and that happens because of Xavi. He just trusts the youth 100%, and things are gonna get better with La Masia with Xavi in charge.
He does, but that's part of the contract negotiations. Come on. They're trying to keep Lamine Yamal around while every other club that will actually play him as a 15 or 16-year-old. There's no way that Xavi actually believes that he's ready to be first team.
Well, first team involved experience?
He will. Yeah. He literally said that in a press conference. There are plenty of other prospects, especially in that position, that should have gotten the call up before Yamal. The only reason they called up Yamal is because every shark out there is circling him and want him as part of their future, right? So it was a way to prove to him that you are a part of this future. But I don't know. But listen, if they win, then again, if they win the next few games in La Liga, there's a good chance that Yamal actually gets some playing time.
Exactly,
so,
man.
Hey.
And Fati ain't looking good on the bench. Rafinha, yes, he plays good, but Rafinha played a good game against Atletico, but Rafinha will keep being criticized if he doesn't score goals. Rafinha's finishing is not looking good at Barca, and Barca needs wingers that score goals. Look at their pass with Pedro, Neymar. Those are the levels of Barca. Third player in the generation with Messi and Ronaldo, Neymar. So they need wingers that score goals.
Send Rafinha over to Newcastle and Eddie Howe.
Yeah,
and he'll pull a Joe Linton with him. He'll have him scoring goals. Oh, jeez. Wow.
If I was Newcastle, or it's Diaby or Ferrajut.
Well, Diaby would be pretty penny. I mean, they've got money to spend, obviously, but Diaby, I don't know. But yeah, it's and I do have to say, like, this win for Barca, okay, that actually said more than what maybe people are looking at. If you just look at the line item, right? You just look at the 1-0 win. It's a big deal because this is not the beginning of the season at Leti. This was 13-game unbeaten streak at Leti in La Liga. And their defense has been absolutely solid. It is the second best defense in La Liga. And if you take this form and you put it against Barcelona, you would have thought that they had every shot to break them down. And no, they held strong. Clean sheet, 1-0 win, got it done. And I'm impressed. We'll see if it lasts.
Barca's going to win La Liga
next
now. Next season.
Oh, that definitely.
So,
but next season's going to be really interesting.
It's going to be interesting. Yes, and people, put down below your comments about La Liga, Champions League. I'm dying to see what you guys are gonna say because a lot of bold statements can be made with these topics. My last shout in the pod, I want to say PSV, huge win against Ajax. PSV are going to end second and Ajax third in the Eredivisie if everything ends up as it is. And Feyenoord deserves to win the Eredivisie. Koksu, Arne Slot, great manager. Santiago Jimenez, wanted to say that. But my favorite player in the Eredivisie is Xavi Simons. Xavi Simons made the best career choice he could have made going to PSV with Ruud van Nistelrooy. He's got 15 goals scored and 8 assists. And right now, I just hope he stays one more season. Because if he develops even more, Xavi Simons could literally can go to a team like Barca after he leaves PSV. I'm going to go bold and say that because he has generational talent. Xavi Simons. The vision, the creativity, he's that special. He's the top scorer of PSV. That's insane.
I think he's like tied for first in the Eredivisie.
Yep.
Not just for PSV. I think he's got 15 goals this season.
But Luke de Jong, it's 13.
Yeah, Luke de Jong is up there. Yeah, he's been on a tear as of late. I mean, he's a shoo-in for scoring goals. He's like, what's that guy's name? Boldest when he was scoring goals in the Bundesliga and in the Eredivisie.
He scored today against Feyenoord.
No, did he? But listen, come on, man. I thought Xavi Simons was this overrated Wonderkid who was only as good as this, only as good as that. This is his first full professional season, people.
Oh my!
It is insane, and he's got 23 goal involvements in the Eredivisie, and whatever his next step is, it's impressive. It really is impressive what he's done, and I don't think they brushed Ajax aside. They really did. And I think Ajax missed an opportunity this season to do what they generally do, which is sell off some of their best stars. I mean, they should have sold Jurriën Timber. They should have trusted more in their academy. They should have sold Kenneth Taylor. They should have sold, continue to use it like a stock market.
But Gravenberch, he was sold. Taylor, I don't.
For cheap.
But Timber, I agree. Timber, he had a market. United were seemingly wanted to buy him. And they needed him because Maguire was the option. But Taylor,
remember when Divine Wrench actually had a market?
That's true.
No longer.
That's a good point too. With Divine Wrench. But with Timber, I still believe that they were believing in their qualities I think Edwin van der Sar is not looking good this season. Alfred Schreuder, Heitinga is not giving the guarantees that he looked at the start that he was going to give. And now he's got stronger competition now with Feyenoord, PSV, AZ Alkmaar. They're in the final of the Youth League. Huge. They won in penalties. Sporting. Ajax split against AZ Alkmaar in the Youth League. I absolutely love to see these two teams that trust Wonderkids in the final. And please pay attention to Ajax split. Vuskovic is one of the best young center backs in the world for his age. Okay, I think he's from 2007. Pay attention.
And they didn't just win. They
destroyed,
beat up. They beat up on what it was AC Milan, right?
Yeah, with Milan. Yeah. I saw that game.
3-0. And it was an 18-year-old American too. Rokas I can't say his name. Pukstas. Very, very good. He's broken in. I mean, between Vuskovic and Rokas, who used to be, I believe, in Sporting Kansas City's youth academy. He's the one that went abroad. He's the one that put himself in this, and he broke through at Hajduk Split, which is huge. I mean, he's played and scored, I believe, 4 or 5 goals for them in their league, and I think he's also scored in Europe. So it's really, really impressive what they're doing there. But also AZ Alkmaar, they played they played without their stud, and that's Max Meerdink, who plays now up. He ended up scoring, I believe, a penalty for AZ Alkmaar to make the semifinals, right, of the UEFA
beat Barca.
Europa Conference League.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So Meerdink's doing it on both sides. My guess is that they'll put Meerdink down for the final versus Hajduk Split. And my guess is Pukstas and Vuskovic will be down there for Hajduk Split as well. So, yeah, I like seeing new teams. I like seeing new teams make their way through. And that's part and parcel of our love for the UEFA Youth League, because a lot of these guys we'll be hearing a whole lot about in the near future. And if I were any smart... Oh, wait, we don't have a manager for the U.S. national team. But if I were a smart U.S. national team manager, I would be calling Pukstas up to get a look at him sometime soon. Or maybe he's on the fringe of a U20 World Cup that is now going to take place in Argentina instead of wherever. Philippines, Indonesia, wherever it used to be. So great shout there. And I think AZ Alkmaar deserves some credit as well. I mean, they're in the semifinal of the Conference League.
That's pretty crazy.
I love it.
And mentioning, as you're mentioning, like Croatia as a country in football, Croatia deserves more respect. They went in 2018 to a final. They ended third in the last World Cup. And Ajuk Split, Lokomotiva, and Dinamo Zagreb. Those two teams, Lokomotiva and Ajuk Split, are developing and improving. So I wanted to give a big credit to what they're doing with youth players. And I have another last shout. I wanted to say.
All right.
Brazil still don't have a manager, okay? And I think the best choice to coach the Brazil national team is a man that only lost 9 times in 100 games in Brazil for his team, Palmeiras. It's Abel Ferreira. This man won 2 Copa Libertadores too, and he would know what to do with the Brazil players. Respect, integrity, and great style of play would be fundamentals of this Brazil national team with Abel Ferreira. So I'm pitching, and that's the manager I would like to see. But you
think the Ancelotti pursuit is over?
I think the Ancelotti pursuit is over because I don't know, man. If he leaves this summer, I think they'll get him. But I think they just gotta move. They gotta move fast. It
just seems like a perfect next step for him.
I know, but Copa America's coming. U.S. is going to be in that Copa America, so they got to be prepared for the U.S. men's national team, Brazil, with a manager.
Well, we need a manager too, man. Come on.
I'm joking.
Could we get Abel Ferreira?
Ooh.
No. Doubtful.
That would be...
Absolutely not.
I don't want to say better than Thierry, but he is. I wanted to say.
As a coach, absolutely. Thierry Henry hasn't done anything as a coach.
But he can. I still believe in his legacy as a coach if he makes the right choices.
Well, Patrick Vieira is open, and that's open to interpretation too. But okay, if we're giving credit out, okay, because we mentioned credit previous to Abel Ferreira, which I do like that shout a lot. And that one actually kind of just makes too much sense, considering what he has done with Palmeiras. But if we're giving credit out, I'm going to give credit to West Ham. West Ham. Of all teams, you know why? I'm going to give credit to their higher-ups. Not sacking David Moyes. Not sacking David Moyes has actually turned out to be a good decision.
This week.
This week. But come on. They're in the semifinals of the UEFA Conference League. They were in the Europa League semifinals last year. They have the possibility to win the Europa Conference League and pull off the Jose Mourinho ascent to the Europa League type of situation here. They have they're starting to pep up when they most need to. They're basically away from relegation. Okay, it was a bad year in the Premier League, but you're still in Europe. I mean, when all is said and done, if you win the Europa Conference League, is this not a successful season?
Yes, it is. But it's pretty sad, though, for West Ham fans, considering how they're playing.
I agree. And I still think that in the offseason they need to move on. But I think the best thing for them to do was to trust in David Moyes at that moment to get through this. The players had not lost him. The players had not lost him at that point, at least publicly. And there was never really any inkling that he had lost the locker room. Right? Unless they really kept it that locked tight. So it was almost to trust the players. I mean, think about how many of those players were playing so subpar, and how many injuries they actually had throughout the season. And now you're looking at Lucas Paqueta. And yeah, if Lucas Paqueta actually gets some really good strikers in front of him, he could be the revelation of next season in the Premier League.
There.
Yeah, I think that's done and dusted there.
Oh,
but
my
like
gosh.
Jared Bowen's pepped up. Mikel Antonio has pepped up quite a bit, actually. He's turned into a stud, at least in the UEFA Conference League. But it's clear when you look at what they did in the Conference League that they're too good for the Europa Conference League. They won all 6 of their group stage matches. I think they only conceded 4, and they've basically beaten comfortably every one of their opponents so far up to this semifinal. And you know what? If the Europa Conference League is good enough for Jose Mourinho, then it's good enough for West Ham United to win.
No,
okay, it's certainly good enough for David Moyes.
You're comparing Mourinho's legacy with West Ham. No,
not a legacy. What I'm saying is Jose Mourinho treated that trophy as if it was the first trophy he's ever won when he won it. Okay, so if he thinks it's good enough, this is actually a good thing for me saying good things about Mourinho. If he thinks it's good enough, then it can be good enough for David Moyes.
Mourinho's the first manager ever to win the Conference League, Europa League, and Champions League. That's stats.
And David
Moyes
is going to be the second.
What, to win the Conference League, but not even a Champions League and Europa League? I'm like, what? David Moyes,
no,
what?
I get that. But no. I'm thinking back to all the pictures and all the videos of when he shed a tear for the Conference League, man. He shed a tear for the Conference League.
For Roma haven't won a title for like how many years? And he gave that title to Roma. They did the celebrations. They couldn't win anything with anyone. With Mourinho,
West Ham has been in a. I know, but West Ham has been in a relegation. You know what? I am actually tired. Don't get me wrong, because everyone's going to think I'm being negative about Jose Mourinho here. But I'm actually tired of people saying that Jose Mourinho has done like phenomenally well at AS Roma.
What?
He has not, man.
He has.
He is not. This is like one of the lowest winning percentages in his career.
He's done a good job for Roma. I think Roma are a better team.
He's won 52% of his games.
But I think Roma are a better team from when they first got Mourinho. My only question, my last question to answer that to you would be, do you think Roma would get Dybala without Mourinho?
No, but I mean, no, I don't think they would have.
And Dybala is the best player of Roma this season. So I'm going to give huge credit to Mourinho, even putting Smalling, Tammy Abraham. And I like it. Zaniolo, that's not an easy thing to do. To say, Zaniolo, we're parting ways. It won't work out. Zaniolo was like the Wonderkid of Roma. So I partially Spinazzola injured. That was a big injury. Pellegrini's looking good. So but I can understand where you're coming. The style of play is not the best. I understand. No, but he gets it done.
But and he is in 4th place right now. I mean, not arguably, this is his best season at Roma. Yes. But I
Bretson, I love you, man.
I just don't from a career trajectory. It does seem a little odd, and Spurs screwed him up. I'm sorry, Spurs screwed him up.
Exactly.
So
and imagine
maybe it's a comeback.
He said to Spurs, "Give me Luis Campos. I want Luis Campos as the director of football, and I'm the manager." And they didn't accept that. Daniel Levy says, "I'm losing too much control with that." You lost the club with that. Ever since then, nothing's been the same. Nothing.
So Mourinho to PSG?
Mourinho is certainly one of the favorites to PSG. Yes, Bretton. I even know some things, and there are talks being made. There are talks being made for this. So, but I don't want to say out of respect for Roma, because Roma, great choice in my opinion. But if you're listening until now, don't forget to like this video, episode 102, and put again your choices, topics, things you want to see in the episode 103. We want to see the comment section full of those comments. And again, people, if you're listening until now, thank you so much for going bold, community. Until next week.